So I got a small project that's kind of turning out to be a big project, but it's fun. Doing this for Sunset Bay Bonnie. And I need to build a shaft for a wood turning lathe. So that's what I'm doing right now. And this was an old rusty trailer hitch stop or lock, I guess you'd call it. You know, the pin that you put it through, and then you put the pin on the other side so that your trailer hitch doesn't fall out. And it was a perfect, well, you can actually see the hole right here where the pin goes through it. But I cut that off with a grinder, and then now I'm cutting this down. This old lathe is awesome. I love using this thing. Excuse me. And wear safety glasses if you guys do something like this. Don't be a dummy. And I'm just doing this real easy at a time. Back and forth until I get it to where I want it, what size. You see the rust coming off the end there. I'm gonna just keep doing this until I get it to where I want it, and then I'll get it sanded and polished and looking good. And then I'm gonna build the piece that holds the bowl onto the lathe shaft, the spur. And then when I get ready to do that, what I'll do is I'll make some more, I'll take some more footage of that. That way you guys can see what I was talking about. I'll film some more in a bit. So now what I did is I took a washer and I have a centering deal. You put this guy in there, mark center, so you got a crisscross, and I got the holes drilled. That way you can mount that to the bowl. This is for making bowls or whatever. And then this guy, I just threaded this, which was a pain in the neck, and it's a fine thread 5/16, and then that's the same as this here, so it can go on her lathe. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go back out to the other shop and chuck this up in the lathe, and I'll cut this down so it fits in the end of here. And then after I'm done with that, I got to cut this off also. I'll put it in the saw and just whack that off there, and then this will have to be welded around right here. And it's gonna be fun trying to get that thing true and plumb and centered and whatever. It's a cool little project though. And then the next one, I need to make this guy. And I'll see what I can do with that. Same kind of deal. I'll probably thread one of these. What these are is, this is a machinist, a buddy of mine, and he builds rifle barrels, I guess it is. And this is the stainless steel that he uses, and that's why it's got the numbers on there. I guess he has different sizes and whatever. And he ends up, giving us all the leftovers and stuff. I get to dig through his junk pile, so that's pretty cool. So I got a whole bunch of them last time I was there. Got buckets of them, and it helps, when you're building stuff like this. These slugs, I use them to build hammers and different jigs and just whatever. I mean, they're super handy, and I like it because you can thread them and then bolt them to your table like that from underneath, and then the bolt comes from underneath the table and threads into that, and then you can weld stuff to them and use them for like motorcycle handlebars and just all kinds of different stuff. Really cool. But anyways, I'm gonna head out to the other shop. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to film out there because it's super cold outside and there's no heat out there at the other shop. Well, there is, but I don't have the deals going right now. So we'll see what happens. Freezing my butt off out here. But I got this turned down a little bit. You can see that fits right on there nice and snug. That's what I want. That way I can weld it on there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it up to here, and then right here, about 5/8 inch, I'm gonna cut that down more so that it's smaller, so that it fits on her machine right. So I got this one all finished up. Got this lug that I made welded into this here. and the holes are drilled, and this is ground smooth, so it's nice and flat, lays nice and flat. That way you have something to screw to the bowl, and then this will go into the lathe. The weld's kind of ugly, but I wanted to get it as hot as I could without warping this piece that I made here. But this is threaded, and I put it on my lathe and spun it and make sure it was nice and true, and it seems like it's okay, so it turned out pretty good. And then I'll start working on this other piece. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to finish up the part for Sunset Bay Bonnie. Her lathe, the wood lathe, the part that I'm making for it, it's kind of a pain in the neck making a part like this. It's like they call it a spur or I forget the name of the part. But what I'm gonna do is finish TIG welding this thing, and then what I think what I'll do is I'll put it back in the lathe and cut it down so that it's you know, so it turns nice and true or whatever, so it works out good or whatever. But figured I'd show you guys what I was doing. This has been kind of a pain in the ass project, but I'm getting it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set you up so you can see what the heck I'm doing. It's the piece we're welding here. And then what I'm using is actual MIG welding wire, because this is so fine, so it's so small that it's hard to use any other wire or whatever. But Gorilla, thank you, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the TIG welding secrets. Been having a hard time with my TIG. It's been kind of a pain in the neck, so we got it figured out. And then slowly but surely I'm putting tack welds right here, and then maybe like a 1/8 inch weld after that, so I don't have a whole bunch of heat on this. And then just kind of walking it around, doing the same thing over and over and over. And I got the heat turned up, but like I said, I'm using MIG welding wire so that it's actually a little bit easier to make a puddle with it and everything. See if I can do it this way, that way you guys can see what the heck I'm doing. Spin it and weld it and spin it and weld it. Stuff's hard to pick up with gloves on. Now I believe I got it welded all the way around right now. And then what I'll do is I'll clean up these welds and throw it in a lathe and turn it for a little bit. That way it turns it down. See how it looks. I'll do a little bit more video in a little bit.